Thank you very much for watching Master Jason Feng Shui. I have many students who have studied Wei Dou Shu, and I will say that one of the most difficult topics or one of the most difficult procedure in terms of the decoding of charts, in terms of Wei Dou Shu, is the flying star analysis. If we are familiar with Wei Dou Shu, we will know that the flying stars are actually part of the system of Wei Dou Shu decoding. And basically, there are four so-called catalyst stars. They are the Hua Lu, Hua Quan, Hua Ke, and Hua Ji. So today I will try my best to touch on some of the important considerations that we would need to look at when we conduct 紫微斗数八字 chart. Yeah, and hopefully I will be able to help those who are interested to to use 紫微斗数, especially the flying star sequence to decode chart better. Hopefully today's sharing will be of some help to you, right? I have to say that 紫微斗数 itself, when it comes to the analysis of the star characteristics, it is rather straightforward and simple. But when it comes to the flying star sequence, it can be rather confusing and complicated due to the fact that the flying stars actually will not only influence the characteristics of the main stars or even the minor stars within different domains within the 紫微斗数, it will also show about the causal events, like how one domain will affect the other domain. So before I proceed, perhaps I will briefly touch on the flying star sequence as to the basic laws that govern the flying star sequence. And I will do so by using some form of visual aids. So let me turn on the iPad first in order to help you to understand this better. Okay, so for all who are familiar with flying star of 紫微斗数, they are actually the flying star actually will follow the heavenly stems for the location for the locating of the flying of the stars. So I will write it down for you to help you to remember the sequence first. Yep. So I will write in Chinese. Right. It's rather hard to squeeze everything into one page, so let me write it smaller. Okay. So in terms of the heavenly stem sequence, we have 甲乙丙丁木子庚辛壬癸. And in terms of the catalyst stars, so to speak, or the flying stars, so to speak, we have Hua Lu, we have Hua Quan, we have Hua Ke, we have Hua Ji. So the flying star sequence will be in such a way whereby when you have a Jia heavenly stems at a particular domain, the flying star will be such that the Lianzhen star will be having Hua Lu, the Po Jun will be having Hua Quan, the Wu Qu will be having Hua Ke, and the Taiyang will be having Hua Ji. And if your heavenly stem of a particular domain is of the Yi heavenly stem, then you have Tianji being paired with Hua Lu, Tianyang being paired with Hua Quan, Ziwei being paired with Hua Ke, and Taiying being paired with Hua Ji. And subsequently, if you have the Bing heavenly stems, you have Tian Tong being paired with Hua Lu, Tianji being paired with Hua Quan, and Wen Chang being paired with Hua Ke, and all Lian Zhen paired with Hua Ji. And if you have the Ding, you have Tai Yin being paired with Hua Lu, Tian Tong being paired with Hua Quan, Tian Ji being paired with Hua Ke, and this Ju Men being paired with Hua Ji. Mu, we have Ta Nang. Right, we really need to write smaller. Ta Yin Hua Quan, You Bi, Hua Ke, Tian Ji Hua Ji. For Ji, we have Wu Qu, Hua Lu, Ta Nang, Hua Ke, Tian Liang, Hua, Ta Nang Hua Quan, Tian Nang Hua Ke, and then we have this Wen Qu Hua Ji. And then if Gen, we have Tai Yang, Hua Lu, Wu Qu, Hua Quan, Tai Yin Hua Ke, Tian Tong Hua Ji. Subsequently, Ju Men, for Xing heavenly stem, we have Ju Men Hua Lu, Tai Yang, Hua Quan, Wen Qu, Hua Ke, and Wen Chang, Hua Ji. For Ren, for Ren heavenly stems, we have Tian Liang Hua Lu, Zhi Wei, Hua Quan, Zuo Fu, Hua Ke, and Wu Qu Hua Ji. And lastly, we have Kui heavenly stem, which will bring about Po Jun being paired with Hua Lu, Ju Men being paired with Hua Quan, Tai Yin being paired with Hua Ke, and then Ta Nan being paired with Hua Ji. Okay, so I know for those who are new to Wei Dou Shu, whatever I'm sharing today will be very difficult to understand. But nonetheless, I have to give you a brief introduction. Yeah, Hua Lu basically is a star that is related to enrichment, or a star that is related to wealth, or it will bring additional quantity or amount into that particular domain. For example, if you see Hua Lu within your wealth domain, it means that you have increment in terms of income, savings, salary, etc. And nonetheless, if you see Hua Lu within your body domain or your health domain, it could actually mean you have additional illnesses, right? Sicknesses within your body. So Hua Lu, depending on the domain that it falls into, it will bring about positive or negative outcomes. The same for the rest of the elements. For the rest of the flying star. So Hua Lu is of the metal element. All right, and then Hua Quan is a power enhancement kind of catalyst. So it will boost the power of the domain. For example, when it's being paired with, for example, when it's being paired with Po Jun, it will make that person very daring, very courageous. Have this determination to create breakthroughs in life. For example, yeah. So this is Po Jun, which is of the fire element. Whereas the Hua Ke is actually a fame enhancer star, or a fame, or sometimes it is also related to the improvement of relationship, or even is an academic achievement star, right? Hua Ke, Ke 甲的科嘛, so it is of the wood element. Hua Ke is of the wood element. And then Hua Ji is actually a hindrance star, or what we will usually like to refer to as I personally like to refer it as the challenge star, or the negativity enhancer star, right? So it is actually of the water element. If you ask me why, right? Why are they of the different elements, right? It is really because of the four seasonal energies that are belonging to the wind, autumn, right? For example, spring, right? Spring is of the wood element. Springtime is where you see all the wood being grown, not being grown, but they will grow at a more rapid kind of rate, speed, that is of the Hua Ke energy. And then when it comes to summer, it is when everything will become will reach their prime. For example, the trees will be strong, the flowers will blossom, for example. So that is actually of the Hua Quan energy, right? That also represents power, authority, etc. Yeah. And then when it comes to autumn, that is when people will, in terms of human civilization in the past, people who live in the temperate climate, they will harvest their crops during the autumn season. So during the harvesting, we will use a lot of metallic tools, and also we'll see the green plants turn to yellow color. So that is the power of the Hua Lu. Is when you will really see the after a year of hardship, you start to harvest, and when autumn is over, we will be storing the whatever crops that we have grown, for example, that is during winter. And that is when everything will become very cold, and the situation will kind of like it's not as active as spring and summer, so to speak. So that is where Hua Ji will come in. And winter is dominantly of the water element. That's why in terms of the flying star, we will use all these elemental energies to tell us when certain stars is being paired with certain flying star, it will cause a change in the power of that particular star in terms of their elemental energy. For example, some people say that Hua Tai Yin is a star that is not really afraid of the Hua Ji energy, because Tai Yin in itself is a water element, is of water element. Well, to a certain extent, I would say it really depends on the context. For example, if Tai Yin has fallen into the domain of health, and particularly for female genders, they will often have issues that are related to their reproductive system. And Tai Yin is being paired with Hua Ji at the body domain or the health domain. Or they may even have emotional issues, or sometimes like hormones imbalance, because chemistries in our brains are actually affected by our hormones, and that will affect their mood, causing them to have mood swing, very negative emotions like depression, etc. Yeah, so it really depends on what kind of domain and the interaction between the elements within the stars. I mean the stars that are associated with and the flying stars. I know it's a little bit complicated, but I will try to make it as simple as possible. So let's go back to the flying star. Let's look at a typical, a very typical Wei Dou Shu birth chart. Yeah. So I will just anyhow plot a chart for you guys to observe. Perhaps this chart, yeah. So for example, we see this person having the Zhen and Qi Sha at the life domain, right? Because it is of the Ding heavily stem at the self domain, right? This 命宫我们叫做命宫哈。那这个是代表什么呢？哈，就是丁的那个天干，它会发出不同的飞星哈。When we refer back to the earlier chart that I have plot for you guys, which is right here, we see that Ding will have 太阴化禄. Perhaps I will highlight it for you. Ding will have 太阴化禄，天同化权，天机化科，巨门化忌. Yeah. So if we look back at this chart, we can see that the first star that is having a catalyst star is the 太阴. Okay. All right, this is a thing year. So all right, I think I have to do a setting, right, for the. All right, perhaps I will quickly just bring up another chart that is easier to read. Because actually you have to do the setting, for the app, right? You have to go to the setting. All right, perhaps I will just touch on it also. When you use any kind of app, you will really need to go to the setting, because there are various types of Wei Dou Shu school, which will have different flying star sequence, so to speak. Yeah, so you cannot not adjust the flying star sequence. Yeah. So after adjusting the flying star sequence, it will bring you a particular bar chart. So so let me try to find another example. For example, this one is having 根 and 根陽冇音同。Yeah, 根陽冇音同. Yeah. So this is okay. I believe I really need to go to the setting. Yeah, perhaps I will not use this app for today. Yeah, I will not use this app today. I will just draw it out for you and to help you to understand. For example, right? Someone is for example having the 甲 heavily stems at the life domain, for example, yeah, at the 命宫 or the self domain. So you really have to look at the flying star sequence again, whereby 廉贞 will be having 化禄, whereas 破军 will be having 化权, whereas 武曲 will see 化科. Additionally, 太阳 will see 化忌. So, basing on whatever I have taught you just now, how do we interpret such a chart? Okay, 太阳 will be having 化忌. Well, if you are familiar with the flying star sequence, we will know that people who are born with the Jia heavenly stems as the year of birth will see the number 4 as their year of birth. For example, 1974 is the year of birth for this person. And we can actually observe certain things that that will happen in this person's life. Yeah, for example, this person is having 廉贞化忌. Let's say, I mean, it's really just for learning purposes. This person is having this 廉贞 at the 命宫 or the self domain. Then it will mean that the person actually will be born wealthy. They most of the time will be able to enjoy more than sufficient financial resources in his or her life. Then, for example, if a person is having 破军, let's say it is found within the person's career domain, so to speak, right? Really just for learning purposes, for example, is in the career domain, the person is having 破军. 破军 is often the stars that's the star that is related to leaving the old and starting anew. 破旧迎新哈，我们叫做破旧迎新。So that kind of individual who have career domain having 破军 with 化权 particularly, 化权 as mentioned earlier on is related to power, is related to authority. And when it's found within someone's career domain, it could mean that that person will be having a tendency to start off business on their own, right? And of course, right, if you see a Wu Qu within that person's, let's say, a wealth domain, Wu Qu itself is a wealth star, and they are very disciplined. So it could mean that when being paired with Hua Ke, it could mean that that person is able to achieve a great wealth in life through his or her good name, reputation. As earlier or mentioned, that Hua Ke is always related to reputation, fame, and knowledge, right? For example, the person will have very high level of knowledge in a particular field and cause him or her to be extremely wealthy as a result of the knowledge that he or she has. And let's say, right, if this Taiyang is found within that person's parent's domain, Taiyang itself, when it's found within the parent's domain, it represents the father. So when it's being paired with Huaji, it could mean that the relationship with the father is negative. And that's how we can actually use the flying star to allow us to understand the characteristics of a particular chart. So I will just quickly plot a chart that is related. Okay. what I mentioned earlier on, the person having 廉贞 as the 化禄, right? For example, this person, right, as shown within the screen, we have 廉贞化禄, right? Because this person is actually born in the year of Jia wood as the heavenly stem, yeah. So we'll be having 廉贞, seeing the 12 catalyst star. And additionally, Paul Jun will be having Hua Quan, right at the travel domain being paired with Hua Quan. Of course, right earlier on, I really just randomly give you the possibility of what catalyst stars can be paired with which stars within which particular domain. But in this case study, we actually had Paul Jun within the travel domain being paired with Hua Quan. Then what will it mean? It could actually means that the person has a great love for exploration of different countries, different parts of the world, a lover of traveling, for instance. And then we can also see that this person is having Wu Qi Hua Ke at the career domain. So this person will be able to use, this is her, so we'll be able to use her knowledge, skills, or even her what we call like sometimes Huake also is related to aesthetic judgment to create wealth in her life or to bring about positive career progress or development. Well, to be honest, this person is actually an interior designer. Then she's someone who has a very good sense of aesthetic judgment, and she's actually using it for her career development as an interior designer. So Huake is always related to fame, reputation, and also aesthetic judgment. At the same time, academic achievement. She actually holds a degree in interior design, which is not very common in this in this line of work. Not many people have a bachelor degree in terms of interior design. So that is why you can see that this person having Wu Qu and Hua Ke means she will be able to achieve wealth through her expertise, knowledge, and skill, which is also usually related to someone who possess very high level of skills, usually using their hands or using certain metallic tools. Yeah. So this is how we actually use the flying star sequence, and subsequently, we see that within the associates domain is seeing 太阳 at a dark position, seeing a negativity enhancer star called 化忌. And if you have remember my teaching before, our this what we call siblings domain, which is two domains away from the parents domain, actually represents the mother. And Jimen is always related to communication problems, always related to quarreling, interpersonal dispute, misunderstanding, etc. Also related to suspicions. So when you see a 太阳 being paired with a negativity enhancer star called 化忌 at a dark position, clashing this siblings domain, which actually represents the wife of the father. In actual fact, this person, father and mother, have kind of like they live in a way whereby they are not divorced, but they live separately in different houses. They don't stay together. And in their in her past, in her memory, it did happen that both of her parents have a lot of quarrelings and misunderstanding, and the father actually also have a lot of affairs in his life. Yeah. So this is how flying stars actually will be able to show you a lot of information in someone's life. So because right, we have to take into consideration that the domain itself, the self domain itself, will also generate certain sequence of flying star. So let's say how we are going to decode it. Yeah. For example, this person, when using the self domain or the Ming Gong as the point of launching the flying star, it is of the gun. Gun is having 太阳化禄, 武曲化权, 太阴化科, and 天同化忌. So you can see that first of all, 太阳 is having 化禄, and this flying star of Hua Lu is actually launched from the south domain. as we remember the earlier on flying star sequence, right? Yeah, just in case that you are lost already, we look at this flying star sequence again. Yeah, we can see that gunmetal is actually having this 太阳化权 and then 武曲 okay 太阳化禄武曲化权 and 太阴化科 with 天同化忌. Yeah, so you apply this flying star sequence to this chart as this case study, you see that having 廉贞 and 天相 at her life domain, and the 根 is actually the heavenly stems of this life domain. 就是说根的这个天干就是这个命宫的那个飞星发出的那个点那个发出的点。所以我们根是什么？根是太阳化禄、武曲化权、太阴化科，还有天同化忌嘛，对不对？So you will observe that gunmetal will bring about the 太阳 having a 化禄 star. So what does it mean? This person will be having such a karmic relationship that will be able to bring great wealth to the father. Right? 太阳 actually represents the father, as earlier mentioned. So as according to the facts of her life is that after she was born, her father actually became a businessman and has set up one of the biggest leather bags factories in Hong Kong. Right, this is actually a client of mine right from Hong Kong. Yeah, so right, we can actually see that her karmic relationship with the father is such that after she was born, she will be able to bring about great wealth to the father. Okay, and then this is shown within the flying star sequence also. That's why flying star sequence is a step above the analysis of the characteristics of the stars alone. You will be able to tell the karmic relationship of the person with a particular family member and what kind of relationship is it. Is it a positive one or a negative one? For example, in this case, we see that due to Jia as her year of birth, heavenly stem will bring about Taiyang at a dark position, having a negativity enhancer star. Nonetheless, at the same time, for her south domain, having a gun heavenly stem will bring about this wild catalyst star on the Hua Lu to the Taiyang star, which represents the father. So it is very complicated in a way that the father will have relationship problems or issues with her mother, but at the same time, this person, due to karmic consequences, will bring about great wealth to the father. So is it a negative or positive thing? I'm not sure. A lot of people always ask me whether a birth chart is showing a good thing or a bad thing. To be honest, there's no such thing as a bad thing or a good thing. It's all a matter of perspective. How you see it as is like for example, this case, right? In this case, even though right the father relationship with the mother is not so good, but the father's relationship with herself, right, with herself is actually rather positive. Even until today, as reported by my client, that she continued to will have frequent meals, we catch ups with the father, chit-chatting over delicious meals, for example. This is something very positive, yeah. But on the other hand, the father's relationship with her mother is not good. So there's always a yin and yang aspect to everything. There's always a positive and negative aspects to everything. So I cannot conclusively tell you it's a good thing or a bad thing. But from a flying star sequence, we can actually show some kind of karmic relationship or sometimes causal relationship that is not able to be decoded by just looking at the characteristics of the stars within the domain itself. So in the most layman term, in the easiest description, in a way that will help you to understand Wei Dou Shu better is that do not neglect flying star sequence. They actually hold a lot of information that are very juicy, in a sense that they will help you they give you a more flavor towards the decoding of the chart. Yeah. For example, let's look at the next flying star that is found within her life chart. we can see that Wu Qi is being paired with Hua Quan within her career domain, and it is also being launched. This flying star is being launched from her life domain or self domain, Ming Gong, so to speak. So she actually eventually became an entrepreneur. She became an entrepreneur. But nonetheless, the entrepreneur endeavor that she embarked on is still related to art. Instead of being an interior designer, she has decided to become an makeup artist to help people. When people go for go for wedding, or people get married, they have to make up and look presentable. She went into this kind of entrepreneurial endeavor. And that is also coherent with the flying star sequence of her charts, having gun heavily stamps at the self domain, launching the authority catalyst star, or the so-called power star, right, called Hua Quan. Sometimes it's very hard to translate into English, but I would like to call it either the power enhancer or the authority catalyst. Yeah, being found within her career domain. Yeah, so eventually she started off her, she started set up her own business, and became doing quite well in her line of work. Yeah, so this is how we actually can decode Wei Dou Shu chart. It is actually not that difficult. It's just a matter of getting used to the process of analysis and decoding. Yeah, and subsequently we also see that Tai Ying is being paired with Hua Ke within her children's domain. Well, if you are able to understand that children's domain is often related to our sexual preference. Oh, sorry, not sexual preference, but the gender. The what we call our okay. Children's domain is often related to our what we call the type of person that we are attracted to sometime, especially in terms of partner who will have physical intimacy with us. Yeah, so we see that actually there's a tie in Hua Ke at her children's domain. Children's domain is often related to activities that are involving like physical intimacy or romance, so to speak. Yeah, and we can see that Tai Ying Hua Ke is actually found within her children's domain. So it would mean that her partner will be someone who is extremely good looking. Well, according to what I have observed, yes, that's true. Her partner actually, she actually has a partner that is very good looking, a very charming person. But we also see, unfortunately, Tian Tong Hua Ji clashing with her this children's domain, which actually is related to things like activities like physical intimacy, or her ability to have children or potential to have children. Yeah. So subsequently, her love life is actually not so positive due to this negativity enhancer star, or what we usually call the challenge or hindrance enhancer, clashing with her children's domain. Yeah, so throughout her life, actually, she did has various types of relationship problems. In actual fact, from what I have known, is that her partner, although she married, had a relationship with this partner, which is a male gender, very good looking guy, but eventually she found out that the male partner is actually having same gender preference. So eventually, she left this guy, although he's a very good looking guy, but they did was not able to have very fulfilling physical intimacy, so to speak, due to the male partner that she has fallen in love with is in actual fact some a person who has a same gender preference. So this is how we can actually observe from a Zhuwei Dosu chart. It will be able to tell you a lot of details about a person's life, even their partners, genders preferences, the person's relationship with the parents, their ability to set up their own business, or whether they will become wealthy in this lifetime. Yeah, of course, you can subsequently further, analyze the flying star sequence. For example, you can analyze her flying star sequence as launched from her, let's say, launched from her spouse domain, for example. Yeah. So let's go to this person's spouse domain. Yeah. So we can see, right, as observed, right, we can also use the Wu Earth as the point of launching the flying star. So if the point of launching of the flying star is at this Wu Chen domain, Wu itself is having what kind of flying star sequence? It is having Tanang, 并派与化禄, which is the web catalyst, 太阴, which is the authority catalyst, which is right here, and additionally 右笔, which is 并派与化科, which is where's her 右笔? Cannot see. Is it indeed the chat? Okay, I think I will really need to adjust the app, right? This app I haven't really adjust the flying star sequence, but just using all this sequence, we'll be able to tell a lot of things. For example, the partner that she was with is actually very attractive, and likewise, when we turn the point of launching of the flying star as to be within the domain of the Wu Chen, Tangnan itself is likewise a peach blossom star. And when it's being paired with Hua Lu, it will further increase or enhance the attractiveness of that partner. So Tanang is being paired with Hua Lu. We can see that yes, indeed her partner is very attractive, and but nonetheless, right? We can also see that within the spouse domain, there's this Tian Ku, which is a sky crying star or heavenly cry depression star, so to speak. Yeah, very hard to translate. Tian is the heaven. Ku is means crying. Yeah, like being tearful. Yeah. So will her relationship or marriage will often face some form of sadness or depression? Yes, it is shown within her chart also. Yep. So what I'm trying to teach today, right, is really to help my students to understand the flying star sequence, how to use it properly in the decoding of chart. It is a little bit complicated, it is a little bit confusing, but practice, keep on using live example. Perhaps use someone you know, your close friends, your family members, open their Wei Dou Shu charts. Then go through each domain. First of all, start off with the year of birth first. The year of birth, the year heavenly stamps, is a good point of reference to check on the inherent characteristics of that particular person. Then move on to the south domain. And then subsequently, you can also turn this flying star sequence method for the analysis of the various domains within Wei Dou Shu chart. If you have any questions, do feel free to leave it in the comments, because I know that the flying star sequence is difficult. It's not easy to understand, but it's not beyond human comprehension. If you are able to decode it step by step, it will still be able to provide you with a very clear interpretation or prediction. But due to the chart palaces, right, being paired with the four transformation or catalyst star, and the three types of chart that we often found within Wei Dou Shu charts, you give rise to 144 different kind of so-called palatial dimensions. So you really have to familiarize with these 144 dimensions in order to have a holistic understanding of how these flying star will bring about different outcomes to a person's life. So hopefully today's teaching is not too complicated. I'm really trying my best to simplify it to help those learners of Wei Dou Shu to be able to understand this flying star sequence better. So once again, any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments, and we will see you in the next live video. Thank you very much for watching, and have a beautiful evening. Bye bye.